Live 89.5, your island, your station. Feel good.
And a very good afternoon, Phuket. Welcome back in. It's 3:25 here on this lovely Saturday afternoon, and I'm in the studio with Crix Luther, who's come up from Nai. Crix, welcome back in.
Hey, thanks.
So Crix is a personal trainer. He's been here on the island for 5 years and has a career in helping people to get fit and be healthy and also to lose weight. As he's been telling me, studies in personal training have evolved a great deal in the last 5 to 7 years. And new information shows that low-intensity, warm-down training after a high-intensity workout actually works to break down and remove fatty compounds from the body. Crix's workouts are on the beach in Nai on Saturday morning in Phuket South. And to get the ideal low-intensity stretching workout after this full-on workout that he does, he gets his guests to pick up trash from the beach, walking, bending over, stretching, and is a nice way to warm down, but also it turns out physiologically an important way on how to burn fatty acids. So, Crix, is that a layman's summary on how it works?
Yeah, a very good one.
Very good. Now, let's talk about your programs. You start off with a high-intensity training, a HIIT program, and how many minutes would that go for?
It depends on what we plan on doing that day, but usually around 17 minutes.
Okay, so that would what type of things do you do in those 17 minutes?
Well, it could be anything. It could be sprinting games, so I'd split the group up into 2 teams, and we'll have a game of sprinting left and right, which is a form of high-intensity interval training, or things like tug of war, or I do some random WOD like the 7-minute burpees, which people hate but love at the same time. Which is literally as many burpees as you can do in 7 minutes.
For what's a burpee?
A burpee is how to describe it. Basically, you start in a stand-up position.
Yeah.
You jump down to the floor into the push-up position.
Yeah.
You do a push-up, then you jump back to the standard position. But as you come up, you jump up in the air.
Okay.
So it uses your whole entire body.
Okay. It sounds hard work. Sounds a good one for high intensity training.
That's right.
Super. So your idea with these 7 minutes, it's fun, it's active, it's quick, it's snappy. You get people distracted by doing their sprinting games and.
Yeah. Definitely with the games, people are actually going at full pelt 100%, but they wouldn't know it. They're just having so much fun and big smiles on their faces, and it's really good to see. But if I put them in the gym and said, okay, go 100%, they'll, really, so it's good. It's good. It's not
as motivating. When it is fun, it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that sounds good. So you do this high intensity workout, and in a normal environment, let's say I'm in the gym and I do my workout, and rather than being a slacker, I actually really do a proper high intensity. So instead of doing 45 minutes slacking, I do 17 minutes of real hardcore high intensity workout. Normally, I'd then go have a shower, and I'd go sit in a chair, read a paper, or drive a car, or do something. So I'm going to be relaxed for the next hour, and that's my workout. But it turns out, from a fat burning perspective, from a health perspective, that's not ideal.
No. Because of the short high intensity workouts, what you get is a neuroendocrine response, which means it will increase your body's production of growth hormone levels and fat burning hormones like leptin. And what that does will break down the fat into these free fatty acids into your body. But that happens after the workout. So if you was to go home and shower, drive home and relax, then these fatty acids, if they don't get used up, they'll just be circulated and stored back as fat. But if you was in the gym, what I would make my clients do is, okay, you've done your workout, now go walk on the treadmill on an incline, a nice easy rate, and that will use the free fatty acids, be the most fat burning benefit of the workout. Same thing with the boot camp. We do the workout, and then when we're cleaning up, bending over, walking across the sand and picking up all the rubbish, that's the equivalent to walking on the treadmill. That is a very important part of the fat burning.
Very cool. So this morning I heard you had a group of kids came down and joined your boot camp.
That's right, yeah.
So on a typical Saturday morning, 10 o'clock start, you do your warm-ups, then you'll do your high-intensity session.
Yeah.
Then you'll take a break for 15 minutes.
That's right, yeah. We usually try to keep it between 40 to 45 minutes as a workout, then have a nice break. I have a friend, Kim White, who comes and cools them off in a nice yoga fashion, and then we start the beach clean around about 12 o'clock.
Very good.
Around about 11 o'clock, sorry.
About 11 till 12. So then
Yes.
you'll do an hour of beach cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And you're currently based in Nai Han.
Yeah.
How's the beach been down there? And are you seeing a marked improvement since you've been doing this every Saturday?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, we generally just cleaned up what we could see, but then we accidentally come across this strategy of these dumping grounds that people would just dump all their rubbish. But once we tackled one whole ground, cleared it out, we noticed that people weren't re-littering there, because nature would come back through, the grass would come through, the sand would blow over, and it didn't look like there was ever rubbish there. So we started incorporating that and finding all these dumping grounds, clearing them out, and not one has been re-littered since.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's doing the local government's job. Well done. Well, it's a trend that's happening all over the island. In today's show, we're going to be talking about the Bangtao Green Club meeting that's taking place next Wednesday. That's at 11 a.m. at Outrigger. If any listeners would like to join, you're very welcome. And then there's a corresponding beach clean at 5 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon for all of Bangtao Beach, from the south with the Klong and the Amanpuri, all the way through Laguna, up to Layan National Park, where we've got Phuket Pavilions and Phuket Marbella, with CBRE all involved in a massive cleanup from the Reggae Bar through to the tip of Layan, which is where the new Anantara is being built. So that's a great campaign that is continuing to get momentum, and it's fantastic to hear down in Nai Han that guys like yourself are involved in supporting beach cleaning and indeed seeing the benefits from it. Likewise, in Naiton Beach about 3 weeks ago, the CBRE organised a large cleanup with about 120 people, all of the hotels, the Pullman, Naiton, and Malewana, and a number of other local businesses, including Trisara. And 2 weeks later, I had a friend down at Naiton Beach. He called me up and said, congratulations, whoever's been looking after this beach is doing an amazing job. So I called Nick at CBRA and I said, well done, looks like you guys have done another cleanup. And he said, actually, we haven't. It's still clean on the basis of the beach cleanup we did a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
So it does go to show that taking the stuff out of the high tide mark can have a dramatic impact on the total reduction in the water in that area. And so it is having a big impact. In today's paper in the Phuket News, there's an article that I wrote about the intensity of these beach cleanups and how sometimes you can clean it one day, literally come back the next day and it's twice as bad as it was, depending on the tides and the winds, etc. But at the same time, we're understanding that daily beach cleaning is having a dramatic impact on the amount of trash that's left in the ocean. It's very tidal, so it tends to get washed through. So it's good news that you're seeing Nai Han indeed a lot cleaner.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Stay tuned. I'm in the studio with Crix Luther. This is Nick Anthony on Going Green, show number 82.
Phuket's Live 89.5.
And good afternoon. Welcome back in. This is Nick Anthony. I'm in the studio with Crix Luther, who's a personal trainer based down in Nai Han in the south of Phuket. And Crix is becoming well known down in his part of the world for doing something called Clean the Beach Boot Camp, which is a fantastic idea. And as we've just been talking, the special type of physiology that he works on is a high-intensity workout that goes for 17 minutes. Is a fun activity, whether it be tug of war or sprinting game, so it's not really your sort of normal gym jockey type of stuff. And then that's followed by a warm-down beach clean for an hour, which help to remove the fatty compounds from your body, and indeed helps to keep you healthy. Crix, talking about your beach cleaning and your activities down there in Nai Han, are you seeing mostly community-based garbage on the beaches, or is it fishing fleet debris?
Primarily, I'd say it was community. It's a lot of takeaway trays and bags and things like that.
Are you finding that is the community itself, the area around Nai Han, is now quite clean, like the roadsides and the park?
Oh yeah. The park is getting better. It's just the front beach and the water.
And the water itself.
The lake, yeah.
Because we've seen all over Phuket, there's a greater intensity of roadside cleaning. In the past, they used to cut the grass on the side of the road twice a month, but they used to also chop up all of the garbage. So if there was a plastic bag, it'd be cut into 500 pieces, left in the gutter, wouldn't be picked up. And then when the rain comes, flushes it straight down into the ocean. The westerly wind then would bring it directly onto our beaches, and we're left with more garbage. So there has been a dramatic reduction in the amount of waste on the side of the roads, primarily to try to reduce dengue fever. Mosquitoes breed in water, and plastic bags hold pooled water, and so you get the mosquitoes breeding in roadside litter. And dengue fever is on the rise. In fact, we're in a real pandemic problem at the moment in Thailand. And so the roadside cleaning is taking place ostensibly to reduce dengue fever.
The 80s, 90s, noughties, and now.
Sorry, pushed the wrong button there. So that is good news. We're seeing on our West Coast beaches probably about a 30% reduction in plastic bag trash this year, possibly higher. And it seems to be indicating, with the cleanups that we've been doing, that by taking up this stuff on a regular basis, it is dramatically reducing the amount in the ocean. Are you a surfer or a swimmer?
A little bit of both, actually.
Okay. And Naihan, much plastic now in the ocean when you're swimming, or you see very little?
Now it's being reduced, yeah. But before, there's a lot of foam bags and just general litter, like beer bottles, plastic bottles.
You were saying that in Naihan there'd been some problems with black spots, some dumping areas. We have found in some of the beaches where we're cleaning that we know exactly the source of the problem. We know who's dumping, where it's coming from, but often pointing the finger and trying to give somebody a hard time about their habits is detrimental to the relationship you have with that person, to try to work with them long term to bring strategies in place. I know down in Naihan you guys are very proactive. You're doers rather than talkers. Are you finding that the actions you're doing are changing some of the local habits down there?
Oh yeah, definitely. The beach guys are now making more of a conscious effort to clean up around their area, and they sometimes we have 20-30 people there with bags and water and drinks, and they need somewhere to put it, so we use their deck chairs, and they don't charge us because they like what we're doing. And today especially, we had it's one of the ladies from the beach huts come running down with some bottles of cold water, to give for us for free, because we was helping them clean out their area. So yeah, they love what we do, and they help any way they can.
That's great. We're seeing that taking place now all over the island. The locals are really starting to understand what it is that we crazy Farangs are up to in terms of cleaning the beach. They understand that tourists particularly appreciate clean beaches. And if you take a look at TripAdvisor on some of the old posts over the last few years, there has been times when beaches have not been cleaned, and people just simply look at the beach, they see the plastic, and they say, I'm never coming back. We must have lost hundreds of thousands of tourists over the years that have had a bad experience on the beach during this time of the year and won't come back to Phuket. It's a real shame. Of course, Phuket is an island. We're bordered by the Andaman Sea to our west, and Phang Nga Bay to our east. The provinces of Phang Nga to the north and Krabi over to the east are very much intricately linked to our regional ecosystem, and there hasn't been any long-term comprehensive environmental strategy to try to bring these provinces together to help our dolphins, our turtles, and our dugong populations, which are already being pushed to the edge of extinction. And people animals like turtles are eating plastic bags because they think they're jellyfish. Dugongs and dolphins also are eating garbage for the same reason. So it's very, very sad what's happening to these animals, and it's a problem that we can fix. One thing that I say about the garbage that we've been collecting the last 3 or 4 years is that almost all of it is Thai garbage. We're not getting anything from India or from Bangladesh, from Indonesia or from Malaysia. In fact, it's all local. So these campaigns by the government now to reduce roadside garbage, and the campaigns such as yours in Naihan Beach to reduce local garbage, is having a massive impact on the cleanliness of our oceans. And as this strategy grows, and we put full-time beach cleaning across west coast of Phuket, as well as broadening the campaign to Phang Nga and down to Krabi, I think we're actually going to really transform the cleanliness of the waters in our regions, and hopefully give our stocks of dugongs and what few dolphins are left the ability to thrive and to survive for future generations.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It'd be very sad if, because of our plastic bags, we basically drive off all the marine life that we do have around here.
Yeah, that's right.
The south of Phuket, where you are, has been more active recently. In Geelong, there was a Go Eco dive cleanup about 6 months ago, I guess. And coming up on the 13th of August next month will be another Go Eco underwater dive cleanup with a new world record they're aiming for. So it sounds like in excess of 600 or 700 scuba divers will be participating. There's also going to be an island-wide beach cleanup on a corresponding date. Same thing, 4:30 in the afternoon on that 13th of August. So I'll be looking forward to getting you involved in that and hearing how over the next few months your campaign continues to go. Are you interested to do your boot camp, your Clean the Beach boot camp in other areas?
Oh yeah. The idea originally was to rotate every month. I was gonna hit a new beach, but Naihan has kept my hands full for the past 3 months, so I'll stay there until I'm ready to move on.
Very good, very good. Well, we have this meeting in Bangtao on Wednesday, so maybe we'll talk to them about getting you to do a boot camp up there.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Sounds really fantastic. So for all listeners, you can go to Crick's Facebook page. That's Crick's Luther, Luther, or you can go to Naihan on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock.
That's right, 10 a.m.
Join his workout for an hour and then help him to clean the beach for an hour.
Yeah.
That sounds super. Thank you very much, Cricks, for coming in the studio today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a great pleasure, and on behalf of the dolphins and the turtles and the dugongs, I'd like to say thank you for cleaning the beach down there.
You're welcome.
Very cool. That was Cricks Luther here in the studio.
Live 89.5, your island, your station.
Welcome back to the Going Green, show number 82. Thanks so much to Cricks Luther for being in the studio this afternoon. Cricks, if you missed the interview, is a personal trainer, and he does a Clean the Beach boot camp every Saturday at 10 a.m. down in Naihan Beach. It's a boot camp that gives you about an hour workout, very high intensity. Don't worry, it's only about 20 minutes, and it's fun and games like sprinting and tug of war and things that you won't even notice you're exercising. So it has a high intensity workout followed by a warm down period and then a 1 hour beach cleaning. And it shows that the beach cleaning actually helps to remove the fatty acids from your body after your workout. In fact, if you were to have your high intensity workout and then go sit in a chair and read a paper for an hour as a normal warm down, then in fact those fatty acids would not be burnt but would be stored, and they would come straight back on. So a great campaign that he's running. The first that I've heard of such a thing, although I can tell you through experience that beach cleaning indeed does keep you healthy and keep you fit. While I'm talking about beach cleaning, just mention again on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. at Outrigger Laguna, the Bangtao Green Club will have its second meeting. They've got now the full support of all the Laguna hotels, and to the north, people like Phuket Pavilions, Anantara, CBRE, Manta One, Phuket Marbella, running through Laguna, Banyan Tree, Dusit, Outrigger, Alamanda, all involved in it. Even down to the south, people like Aman Cruise, Banchai Nam, Amora, and Best Western, as well as Bliss Beach Club and Zana Beach Club, all involved in that cleanup on Wednesday. The beach cleanup will be at 5 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. So if you have interest in learning how these green clubs are working and you want to understand a bit more about the process, come down and join us at 11 a.m. on Wednesday at Outrigger. Or if you just want to give some hand with cleaning the beach in Bangtao, that'll be 5 o'clock. If you're looking for somewhere to go on Friday, come down to the Lion National Park at 5 p.m. We do have probably 20 or 30 people are ready to give us a hand, but it's particularly dirty after the last big storm that came through. And the Klong area in the north, the river that goes around the point, is a place that always attracts a lot of debris off the oceans, particularly Red Bull bottles and plastic bags and fishing debris. So any support that can be offered would be greatly welcomed. I'm going to talk about coal. We've spent a lot of time over the last few months talking about coal, as people are realizing that coal as an energy source is not the way forward. In fact, renewable sources are much better for the planet. And two funding groups that have just changed their strategy on coal, which is very pertinent, particularly for Phuket, as the Thai government has been discussing putting in place a coal-fired power plant in Krabi, just across the pond, across Phang Nga Bay. And when we do have summer season winds from April through to November that come often from the east, that would of course bring any coal dust and debris coming through from those coal-fired power plants over the pond, over Phang Nga Bay, and onto our island. And given that we're principally tourism-based, that would not be the best way to pitch or sell Phuket as being under the rim of a coal-fired power plant. The World Bank is the first that's agreed to stop funding coal projects. It is welcome news as the World Bank Group has funded almost $6 billion in coal projects over the past 5 years. As part of a new energy strategy which will cover the bank's lending, the bank agreed that it will only fund coal projects in rare circumstances and under certain specific conditions. This commitment will help focus the World Bank Group on using scarce resources to combat climate change, spur clean energy deployment, and meet the energy needs of the poorest in the world. With the poorest communities feeling the brunt of the impacts of global warming, this is a welcome shift from an institution that has clearly recognized the damages that are already coming and indeed will come from global warming. Also talking about coal, yesterday news that the Export-Import Bank of the United States, called the Ex-Im Bank, has rejected a proposal to provide financing for a new coal-fired power plant in Vietnam. The bank's board of directors cites the project's likely effect on global warming in its vote last Thursday. President Barack Obama said last month that the U.S. will no longer support building coal-fired power plants abroad as part of an effort to curtail global greenhouse gas emissions. The Exim Bank says in a statement that the vote against the Vietnam project came after careful environmental review of the project's expected greenhouse gas production. Environmental groups call the vote on the 1,200 megawatt plant the first test of whether the administration will follow through on Obama's pledge made as part of a wide-ranging call for action to reduce global warming. Great news there on coal-fired power plants not getting their financing. So hopefully that forces Vietnam to change its strategy to more renewable sources. Also in climate change news, which is related to this, a new report by the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research has said that sea levels in fact could rise by 2.3 meters for each degree Celsius that global temperature increase, and they will remain high for centuries to come. This is a new study, and indeed it is alarming. The Climate Impact Research Group was the first to examine evidence from climate history and combine it with computer simulations of contributing factors to long-term sea level increases, thermal expansion of oceans, and the melting of mountain glaciers, and the melting of the Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets. Scientists have said that global warming is responsible for melting ice, and a UN panel of scientists, the IPCC, says that heat-trapping gases from burning fossil fuels are also nudging up temperatures. A small number of scientists continue to dismiss human-influenced global warming, arguing natural climate fluctuations are responsible. However, they're now very much in the minority. Sea levels rose by 17 centimeters last century, and the rate has accelerated to more than 3 millimeters per year, according to the IPCC. A third of the current rise is from Antarctica and Greenland. Almost 200 governments have agreed to limit global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times, and plan to agree by the end of 2015 a deal to curb emissions. Global average surface temperatures have risen by just under 1 degree since the Industrial Revolution, and the IPCC has said temperatures are likely to be half a degree to 1 degree Celsius warmer from 2016 through 2035, then in the 2 decades up to 2005. In the past there was some uncertainty, and people haven't known by how much. We're now saying that taking everything we know into account, that we've got a robust estimate of 2.3 meters of rising sea per degree. That's going to make places like here on Phuket, our beaches, whether it be Patong or Bangtao or Surin Beach, and indeed homes on the ocean, in deep trouble. And we're going to be forced to either move towns, move areas, and move residences as well as hotels, or they're going to have to build up large banks, and that's of course costly, and as many places have shown, long-term with difficulty. We see Patong flooding more and more, largely because they're taking away the mangroves and taking away the floodplains, and by building up the concrete areas, the water simply doesn't have places to run off, and so we've seen increased flooding, particularly in Patong and also in Phuket town. So watch for more climate change impact happening here on Phuket.
Phuket's Live 89.5.
And welcome back to Going Green, show number 82. I've just been talking about some international news. I'll wrap up a couple of things that I found during the week, which I thought was interesting, and also has, in some respects, some impact on what's happening here on Phuket. Firstly, looking at solar in China. As we know, there's been a massive glut of solar products in China, and the government has just announced a massive program on how to utilize those solar panels, and indeed is increasing its own solar strategy, or the number of amount of solar power it's about to put in place, to 10 gigawatts, 10,000 megawatts per year over the next 3 years. This is a statement coming out of the State Council this week. As a result of that, all of the solar listed companies rallied between 15 and in some case 25%, which was great news for what has been a beleaguered industry, and good news for China that now with the glut of panels, they're going to in fact use it for domestic use. Also on solar news, Peru last week in Latin America initiated a new program that will provide electricity to more than 2 million of its poorest residents using solar panels. They said that the program will allow 95% of Peru to have access to electricity by the end of 2016, up from the current 66% today of the population that has access to electricity. The program in Peru is aimed at the poorest people, those who lack access to electric lighting and still use oil lamps, spending their own resources to pay for fuels that harm their health. Very good program. Installing 12,500 systems to provide for about 500,000 households at an overall cost of about $200 million US. It's exactly the sort of program that we continue to look for here on Phuket. Energy efficiency, solar panels, and a greater divestment away from fossil fuels to eventually get Phuket off the grid. That's a long-term plan, and indeed would be very exciting if we could do it. Now, there was talk last month that Phuket could be the home of Formula One, as Bangkok has rejected Formula One's bid to stage the event in its city. Well, on the heels of that, this week, Mario Andretti Autosport announced that it has signed on a third team to compete in the environmentally friendly FIA Formula E Championship. That might mean that our boys who do the Formula One show before going green on Saturdays are going to have to change their tune. But indeed, it's going to feature electric cars racing in 10 cities around the world, beginning in 2014. Michael Andretti has a two-car operation, which will join China Racing and British-based Drayson Racing from Lord Drayson, as organizations already committed to a field that will have 10 two-car teams competing in each E-Prix. That's really good news. They say that we're in the business of racing, and we've been looking for opportunities to diversify. And when we were contacted about doing an E-Formula One, an E-Prix, they felt it was something that was going to be very interesting. They liked the relevancy of the series, because one of the problems auto racing is starting to face, and is going to face more of in the future, is relevancy. Relevancy in a post-carbon world. Relevancy in a world where polluters indeed are not being tolerated. And as we all wean off carbon fuels and move to renewable sources of energy, likewise Formula One, as it stands today, is going to be a dying sport. So very interesting and very important. So if Phuket is indeed thinking about doing a Formula One, then in fact they should switch their tune and become one of the first cities in the world to compete in the E-Prix. Also, briefly on some international news this week, Tesco, who we work very closely with now on Phuket in introducing environmentally friendly initiatives, reducing plastic bags, reducing polystyrene, reducing packaging, working with them on energy efficiency, and also in working in the reduction of food waste. Tesco CEO in the UK, Chris Bush, who actually used to be the CEO for Thailand until about 18 months ago, has made an announcement of a new campaign in the UK called Love Every Mouthful. They figure that as Tesco really is a grocer, and they do care about food, it's what they talk about, it's what they think about, it's what they obsess about. And they've launched a food campaign, Love Every Mouthful, making a new way of talking about food with customers. That's coming out of Chris Bush. Now you can go to myseek.org and click across to this week's Going Green radio show, and you'll find the text of all of the articles we've been talking about today, plus a few more. And indeed, there you'll find a interview on Tesco and details about what they're doing with this campaign. Also, on food waste, this week there was a half-page ad in yesterday's edition of the China Daily, which screamed, "Clean your plate." It was the message from the middle of a Ming motif, a dinner plate, that was on this half-page ad. And in China, it's called Guangpan Jingdong, the Clean Your Plate movement. The ad is a clear indication that the Chinese government is pushing the envelope for its 1.3 billion people to uphold the virtue and foster new practices, one of which is to eat all of the food on your plate. It's an important step towards not wasting food. Well, what's happening today in China with this type of movement is a far cry from what it used to be back in the 70s and even in my own first visit in the early 90s. In those days, certainly in the 70s, food was rationed and any waste would definitely get utilized. These days, actually, people generally, if they're eating alone, the portions are relatively modest because they do pay for what they get. However, the banquet and the corporate entertaining strategy for food is very different. During lunches and dinners with friends and businesses, they in fact go over the top, and it's always been cool to have more and to have extra, and in fact to make sure that you don't lose face by having more than enough dishes on the table. Well, the new leadership in China has issued a call to stop wasting food, and indeed Chinese officials have been asked to follow 8 rules to practice austerity and give up their wasteful habits. The rules include not wasting food and living moderately, which is very good news. In fact, China's ability to feed its huge population really is an extraordinary achievement. In the past, the rise and fall of Chinese rulers depended on whether their people had enough food to consume. After 3 decades of continuous economic growth, China has become richer and farmers have better lives than before. Now, as the world's second largest economic power, China wants to go beyond that and give its people a more sustainable and greener way of life. For centuries, the Chinese people have been in the habit of saying, "Qi duo yi dian," eat a bit more, to guests at the dinner table. But there may come a time when "Shao qi yi ke yi," it's okay to eat less, would be the acceptable entreaty. That's good news. That's coming out of The Nation, a newspaper from Bangkok. And if you are looking at the website, I put up a YouTube clip this morning. It is, in fact, difficult to understand the subtleties of climate change. However, University of Minnesota undergrad Daniel Crawford did something very, very clever. He took surface air temperature data and converted them into musical notes, one for each year from 1880 to 2012, and he's played them on his cello. The result, in a word, is haunting. You can check that out on YouTube, The Sound of Global Warming, or go to myseek.org and click over to today's Going Green radio show and take a listen. And lastly, just to wrap up the international news, 1,000 ivory tusks were found yesterday in Hong Kong, unfortunately mostly from baby elephants. Very, very sad. The total weight was over 2 tons and worth more than $2 million. It was discovered in Hong Kong from a cargo container that came from the African country of Togo. It was headed for mainland China, and the bags of tusks were hidden beneath planks of woods. More than 1,148 tusks were seized, and it's the biggest ivory seizure in the southern Chinese city since 2010, when another 9 cases were recorded. Quite amazing. Conservation groups have accused the Chinese government of failing to enforce laws to control the illicit trade. Good news they're catching them, but still very sad that it happens today and that the Chinese government's not doing more to stop the trade in ivory. Stay tuned. In a few moments I'll be back. I'll talk about the local news and this weekend's edition of the Phuket newspaper. And welcome back. This is Nick Anthony on the Going Green Show. Show number today is 82. On Monday, it's public holiday here in Thailand, and celebrates or commemorates Buddha's first teaching of Dharma to his disciples. It's called Asaha Bucha Day. It's one of 3 lunar holidays in Thailand. The first of the year being the Maha Butcher Day, which is in February and remembers Buddha's sermon. The Visakha Butcher Day, which is in April during the full moon, celebrates Buddha's birthday, his enlightenment, and his death. And this third lunar holiday, Asaha Butcher Day, is on Monday. In the Nation newspaper, there was a very good article by a gentleman who is known by his pen name, Kun Vajramedi. He is a prominent Buddhist preacher, and he made the comments that the environmental degradation today poses a major threat to humanity, yet most people seem oblivious to the urgent need to tackle the problem. It remains to be seen whether efforts to create global awareness will succeed. Perhaps humans will just wait until the crisis deepens. As the saying goes, a tear is not shed until a coffin is seen. The environment is being destroyed. Very good, and I thought a fairly apt comment. And with that, let's take a quick look at the this weekend's edition of the Phuket newspaper. Every week we do review it under the Atkinson Sustainability Compass. So looking at all of the articles in relation to N for North for Nature, E for Economy, S for Society, and W for Well-being. Looking firstly at nature, of course, without a beautiful place, why do people travel here from halfway around the world? And to support Phuket looking beautiful, Go Eco Phuket has announced that they will do a big beach cleanup island-wide as well as an underwater cleanup, which is aiming to be a new world record on August 13th. This is in honour of Her Majesty the Queen Sirikit's 81st birthday, which is on August the 12th. For information on it, you can go to Facebook and take a look at Go Eco Phuket. Also on beach cleaning, while I'm on that topic, this Wednesday at 11 a.m. at Outrigger Resort in Laguna, there's a meeting of the Bangtao Green Club. Come along if you'd like to know more about how they're operating and what they're doing. And then at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, there's a massive cleanup on all of Bangtao Beach from the south to the north. If you're looking for a spot to come and support, come up to Layan National Park up in the very north end of Bangtao. It's a beautiful area, but after the recent storms, there's a massive amount of trash that needs to be collected. Also, talking about news in this weekend's paper, looking at the economy, indeed there is a article on page 13 about the new TAT strategy, saying that they're looking for a rise of 13% in arrivals for Thailand to 28.1 million tourists. They're saying they're expecting higher revenue through Thainess, culture, way of life, and experiences. Also by focusing on Thailand as a quality destination. They're looking to balance their source markets. They're looking to reduce visitor congestion with balance. They're looking to support summer season promotions, just as Laguna is currently running. And they're also looking to support green tourism. So sounds like positive strategies there from the TAT, although I note they don't seem to be focusing on higher-end tourists, which is something they've said that they would do. On page 6, a very good article on surf education, a program that's just been run at Le Méridien. That's called Saving Lives. In the past, we didn't have lifeguards on the beaches this time of the year, and even with lifeguards, we've seen a record number of people die this year. It's been very dangerous, and indeed some beaches have been closed. So do take care when you're swimming on Phuket's West Coast beaches. The rips are very strong. Please take the advice of lifeguards and swim between the flags. And if the red flags are out, then please do not swim. Also, lastly, just looking at the local news, Phuket government officials came together on Tuesday last week to try to come up with a formula to bring some sort of order to Phuket's chaotic beach businesses. This was organised by Vice Governor Jamaron, who chaired the meeting of Patong and Kamala officials, and suggested that owners of businesses on beach should each be allocated an area of sand. They would not be allowed to build anything on it, nor extend it without permission, but it would be theirs. They're going to put all sorts of things in place, including uniforms, make sure they have IDs, and hopefully that also means taking down illegal structures, including one we saw in the Phuket News this week, which is going to be taken down on the very south end of Patong Beach. So good news that the government is in fact getting serious about encroachment and helping to make Phuket a better place. Well, that's it for this fine Saturday afternoon's edition of the Going Green Show. Do stay tuned this afternoon. We have a full lineup of schedule, and I'll come back to you in just one moment and tell you what's going on. We have, of course, Best of Breakfast just now from 5 till 7 with Sam, and then we go into dance anthems from 7 until 10 p.m. Then Saturday Night Fever 10 till 12. Tomorrow, Sam and Kirsty there is doing the breakfast show. I didn't mention Kirsty. She's a great support to Sam, and maybe even taking Sam over. Sunday, tomorrow morning, we've got non-stop music until 10 a.m. And then Nick's back on with What's On at the Weekend. A great show this morning, Nick. Well done. 10 a.m. till 12. Then we've got weekend brunch from 12 till 3. And that'll be with Jason Wilder, who's in talking about what's going on, playing some cool tunes and telling some stories. Nice to have him back in the station after his holiday. And then in the afternoon, very chill Sunday afternoon, Andy Saunders with Mellow Moments. That's from 4 till 6. Sunday night chill with some very great tunes from 6 till 9. And then we're back in with non-stop music taking us through to a Monday morning. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Take care out there. There's a storm warning in place for tomorrow afternoon and Monday, so be careful on the roads. And as I mentioned, take care in the surf. It will be strong, and indeed there are very strong rip tides.